Good evening, gardening friends. It's the Budget Gardener. I'm back. It's a long story, what all's been happening, but some of you kind of know if you watch some of the older videos. Uh, Bottom line, I lost my job just over a year ago now, managing an apartment building. I did have a business doing websites and thought that that was pretty much dead, and then all of a sudden, I've got a new client. So I've been busy last couple of weeks, and after sitting in a chair all day long for a couple of weeks, working to a certain point, and there's plenty more to go with that client. Um, After that, I just kind of had to get back to something different again, and I've been thinking about it all weekend, so I've got another project. Now, I don't know how much you're going to remember. If ever, if you want to go back and watch my videos, please do. But I'm just trying to give you a short summary here. Um, I moved to a new apartment. That apartment no longer has a patio or a balcony, so I don't really have any outdoor space to grow things. So trying to grow things indoors has been a little crazy. And I realize I'm just showing you a towel here. But you know what? Let's just get moving here, and I'll show you what I'm planning on. Now, I'm using the towel just as a good background here for some of what I'm working on. What I've decided to do is try and grow some seeds for trees. I do have one tree outside, which grew from my experiments with the purple orchid tree. Seeds that I harvested from a city tree nearby. I didn't, attack the tree or anything. Just the seeds were dropping on the ground, and there's tons of them. So I decided, let me see if I can grow anything. And sure enough, I got something growing. And actually, turns out to be the same kind of seeds that a friend of mine gave me, 4 or 5 years ago. But couldn't. I think she described it as an orchid tree, but it just didn't make sense to me. An orchid on a tree. I always thought an orchid was a flower. Anyway, that succeeded to some extent. Most of them died, but I had one that survived. So I want to try and do some other trees, which I can harvest seeds from in the neighborhood. So this is one of the leaves from one of them, and I've been trying to identify it all day. I've been like, okay, I can't do this video until I have all my details together. I'm just making excuses. So I think this is a leaf from a live oak tree, which is a popular tree around my neighborhood. I don't know. I've got 4 different types of seeds, and I'm not sure exactly what each one of them is, but I'll do the research later and give you an updated video. So let me show you the seeds. Okay, so we've got 4 kinds of seeds here. On the upper left, I believe those are actually from a palm tree, so I'm going to try that. To the right of that, I've got seeds from that. They're the acorns from what I believe is a live oak tree. It may be something different. Down below here, we've got some seeds which are in a bag, and maybe I'll reveal them a little bit better. They came from another tree outside that has pods, much like this has a pod. I'll get to that in a moment. They have a pod, and it breaks open, and they fly all over the place, so I just kind of scooped a bunch of them up, put them in a bag. And then this one actually comes from a vine in my parents' backyard that has grown into kind of a bush habit. I've been trying to remember what that's called, but I did ask them the next time it starts generating pods to save one, and they did, so I've got those. So these are the seeds that I'm going to try and plant, and let me show you the next step. Okay, so this is a sort of a multi-purpose experiment. I'm going to put them in my light box, which I'll show you. I made a slight update to it. You can see the seeds back there, and you can see I've got the soil ready to go. A little bit about the soil. It's the same lightweight soil that I was using for other things, trying to grow stuff indoors. I've now mixed it with some used coffee grounds. After doing a little bit of research, it seems like, where a lot of people will say, oh, coffee grounds, it's going to be a lot of acid. But from what I've been reading, it sounds like once you brew the coffee, most of the acid comes out of it. So what this will actually do is lower the pH of the soil, which trees tend to prefer. So that's the objective. I mixed the coffee grounds with the lightweight soil that I had, and I've got them sitting in these plastic cups, and I'm going to drop the seeds in, cover them up, and put them in a light box. Okay, so the first problem I ran into was I had pre-filled these cups, and then I realized that since you're really in general supposed to plant seeds about 1.5 times their own size down in the soil, I had a little too much. You can see the ones up front are where I'd pre-filled these two, and the ones in the back I've taken some of the soil out. So I'm going to put the seeds in, cover them back up. I don't want to cover them all the way to the top, but that's what I'm going to do with these. Okay, so another thing that should be noted is when you plant a bunch of stuff all at once, you should really label. So I've put a 1 on that and a 2 on that, just so that since I don't have all the names straight yet, I'm going to catalog it here on video so I'll know which ones were the 1s, which ones were the 2s. I'm going to do 3 cups of each because I've expanded my light box to where I can fit 12 of these cups in there. So I figured 3 each of 4 different types of seeds. That's where we're going with this. Okay folks, so now we've got a half a dozen of these filled. 2 different seeds, 3 of each seed. And I decided, I don't know how well you can see my labeling here, basically I've got 1S, 1P, and 1B, as well as 2S, 2P, and 2B. Basically means side, point, and blunt. I planted their larger seeds so you can actually kind of position them. So the S's are planted on their sides, the P's are planted on their point, or the opposite end of the seed from where it came off the stem, and the B is blunt. Basically, is the blunt end. If it was a pointed seed, that would be the blunt end. I could have said stem, but that would have interfered with side. S for stem, S for side. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. So I've done that for these. Now I'm going to work on the other seeds. Okay, so that's the next one down. Number 3, I've got my side, my point, and my blunt. But actually, if you look at one of these, I'm trying to show you. It's what the seeds actually look like close up. And it's really kind of hard to tell which is the pointed side and which is the blunt. So the ones that I said were on the side were truly on their side. And they were just sort of at random. The ones that I called point, I looked at it, and if you look really carefully at these seeds, but it's probably not going to translate here, is there's a little bit of a sort of a cup to them. The problem is these little wings that are on there, which are really there to help them spread. When they come off the tree, when the pod pops open, and they come flying out, then they've got these little wings which help spread them away from the tree, so it's not, the seedlings don't compete with their parent. But there's a slight sort of cup to them, so I considered the cup the point. The sort of rounded part up would be would be the blunt. So basically I was considering the rounded part being up is like the point. So actually for point the rounded part is down, and for blunt it's up. And so that's what I decided to do with these, and I think the others are going to be about the same. Alright folks, so that's the last 3. And actually in this case, let me kind of go down and show you. If you look at these seeds, you can see they're almost kind of heart-shaped. So I considered the point of the heart as the point. So the 4P here, that one is with that point down, and the blunt is with the point up, and the side is truly on its side. Although just putting soil on top of them to cover them up may have kind of screwed up their orientation a bit. But those are done now, so we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now let's talk about the light box. It's a box. It's pretty much it. The difference is, before, what I had in there were a couple of lamps that I was using to support the lights that go on top of this box. And I figured out that if I pulled those lamps out of there, if I could figure out a way of making this box self-supporting, that I could fit more stuff in there. And that's where I came up with the fact that I can fit 12 of those cups in this box. It's really going to be kind of hard to see anything. It's probably not showing you much, so let me back out. But the idea is that I can fit... Ooh, wow, watch the focus go on that one. Don't know what happened. Anyway, I'm going to put all 12 of them in there, and I'm going to put the lights on top, and you'll see kind of where I am. Now, if I'm careful with this, I can keep, and I apologize for the shadow there, I can keep all 12 of these inside the box. I can take the box on and off if I'm real careful. And then I'll put the lights on the top. Alright, so this is the rig with the lights on top. I actually have a plan for a bit of an improvement on that. But you can kind of see, instead of being inside the box with a cover on it, it's now on top, which will give the light more chance to spread out and kind of fill the area. It's not a grow light. This is an old, if you look at some of the older videos from earlier this year, this season, you'll see me putting this thing together. I just didn't want to spend the money on a grow light because some of those can get really expensive. And I just decided to use an old egg carton and some Christmas lights, and that's what I got. So, and it's almost time for all of this to shut down because my lights are on a timer. But we'll pick it up again tomorrow or Monday. We'll see. That's it for now. Budget Gardener signing off and saying, may your thumb, even if it's indoors, be green.